It's 10 o'clock, and so we'll make a prompt start. So welcome to the latest in our series of webinars that is today focused on GCI's implementation of Highlight Performance Management. This is our new fully configurable and comprehensive real-time performance monitoring and measuring service, which can improve insight for our customers and is one of the ways that we're supporting many of you on your journey towards digital business transformation. We're delighted that you've been able to join us today, so thank you very much for that. My name is David Hughes from the marketing team here at GCI, and I'll shortly introduce our speakers and ensure that we keep to time and conclude promptly at 10:45. I'm currently with our presenters here in Derby, together with my colleague Ella Kirk. Ella has handled the logistics of setting up this session, is acting as our concierge today, and will be keeping a watchful eye on all the techie bits to ensure that all goes smoothly. So good morning, Ella.
Good morning, everybody.
So our speakers today are Phil Smith and Amar Nanda. Phil is GCI's Chief Operating Officer, and he's responsible for delivering service excellence to our customers. Phil has earned his stripes over a 20-year career in the telco, MSP and ITO worlds. During this time, he's held pretty much every position from network engineer, projects and program management, operational directorship through to CIO and COO across organizations that have included EasyNet, CGI and Capgemini before obviously joining us here at GCI. So good morning, Phil.
Good morning, everyone.
We're also delighted that joining me here in Derby is Amar Nanda. Amar has a wealth of experience of leading the implementation of Highlight in organizations of diverse sizes and sectors, and is leading the GCI team through our current program. So thank you very much for joining us today, Amar.
Good morning, everyone.
So our presenters are here in Derby, and you, our guests, are all across the UK. So a real testament to the inherent flexibility that comes with Skype for Business. Our intention is to share Phil and Amar's insights plus a live demo with you for approximately 25 minutes, and then hopefully leave plenty of time to answer any questions that arise during the course of the presentation. We'll take questions at the end if that's okay, but please do feel free to send us an instant message via the panel at the bottom of the screen as they occur to you, so that we can capture those and make sure we answer them for you later. One further quick housekeeping note, we should have muted you, but can I ask that you all do your best to stay that way so we can avoid any stray noises off or the office dog barking in the background. Thanks very much for that. And so without further ado, over to you, Phil.
Thank you, David, and good morning, everyone. Everyone in the industry is talking about digital transformation, but the bottom line is you can't achieve this transformation whilst flying digitally blind. The ability to view and measure what's happening within your infrastructure and to predict pain points is crucial to understanding and managing the performance of your business critical applications and consequently the end user's experience. Whether it's understanding the suitability and capacity of your existing infrastructure for future changes, such as migrating from the traditional telephony solutions to Skype for Business, or being able to see the underlying infrastructure issues that are causing performance degradation of your applications in real time, visibility is the key. GCI have teamed up with Highlight and Hortium to provide a state-of-the-art monitoring and reporting solution that's designed to offer our customers a simple tile-based view of their solution as a rolled-up rag of stability, load and health, but with the ability to drill down to see what the underlying issue is that's causing any move away from green. Importantly, our customers will get to see what we can see in a way that is accessible to both the non-technical and the technical stakeholders within their organizations. Actually, Highlight forms part of GCI's own digital transformation journey, which I've been calling Portals, Windows and Walls. To explain what I mean, portals make it easy for customers to consume our services and perform MACDs, for example. Windows provide an insight into our activity at GCI, news, solution releases, upgrades, etc. And will also give a clear insight into the performance of the services our customers have taken from us. Walls are somewhere for our customers to scribe feedback. Think of it as TripAdvisor for service providers. Now, when I was a youngster, my mother used to say to me, if you're going to open your curtains, first tidy your room. In business terms, you could read that as clean your data before you expose your tools to your customers. So, we've spent the last 6 months cleansing our operational and financial data in preparation for the release of a brand new toolset that we will present to our customers via a customer portal. We've been working on quotations, electronic order acceptance, order management, project management workflow, inventory, CMDB, incident ticketing, contact center solutions, live agent chat with our service desk, SMS alerting and a service status dashboard. Next up, and first to be formally presented to customers, is our new monitoring and reporting tool, Highlight. At this point, I'm going to hand you over to Amar to explain a little bit about how Highlight works and give a bit of a demo.
Thank you, Phil, and good morning, everyone. So Highlight was built from the ground up as a service to be intuitive and simple to understand. You'll get the simple information as and when you need it for managers and C-level decisions to be made, but when there's a problem occurring and you require the detail, within 3 clicks you can go from high level to that detail that you require to help you solve the information you need. And that will produce actionable information at your fingertips. As an example on your slide, you can see what we call a heat tile at a branch of Glasgow. This heat tile has 3 simple pieces of information: stability, load and health, and these allow me to understand the performance of that site. Stability tells me the availability of that site and any devices associated with it. Load tells me the utilization or usage of that site and any devices underneath it. And health allows me to understand the quality of any lines associated with that site. Highlight uses simple RAG indicators, so red, amber, green, for me to indicate the performance and any problems that may be occurring. Highlight does this in an effective, proactive way, so you can ensure when something's happening, you see it before it affects users. And if a problem has occurred, you still have the information to hand to say something has happened and it's getting better. Once you click on a site, the next drill down is a simple view on the services associated with that site, the links, the routers, the virtual sites, or any LAN devices you may have associated with that site. Highlight will also give you a breakdown of class of service. If I want further information, another click on any one of those elements will give me the detailed information I may require about the performance of that element. The idea behind Highlight is it's accessible for all users, from non-technical users who just want simple information about performance and availability and health, to engineers who need the detailed information at their fingertips. Highlight comes in 3 flavors: bronze, silver and gold. Bronze is the entry level, which is delivered to customers, and this gives me a view on the performance of my network and my infrastructure from a business point of view. I get a clear graphical breakdown over a period of time showing me traffic and performance of network and individual elements. I get the heat tiles as a roll-up so I can understand where the problem is in my network. And as I said before, through a few clicks I get all the detail I need regarding elements that may have issues at that site. Within Bronze, you also get both 24-hour and business hour reporting, which is incredibly important. If I'm looking at problems, analysis, usage, and data, I may want to see, is that business affecting or not? Then I have the Silver element. Silver allows me to look at application and user details associated with a device or a site. If I have high utilization as a site, I may want a breakdown of what's making up that utilization. Is it business critical or not? And what users are using those application services? As an example, if I have high utilization as a site, I may want to understand, is that business critical? So, is it something like Netflix or video streaming? Is it happening in business hours or out of business hours? And which users are accessing that service? So I can quickly and promptly make a business-informed decision about what do I do. Do I shut those businesses down or shut those users down to ensure I have more capacity? Or if it's a business application, let's say Skype for Business, and it's overutilized, but actually it's something that's critical, I can then say, well, actually, do I need to make a business informed decision about more capacity at that site to support those services? And then lastly, we have Highlight Gold. And Highlight Gold gives you a top-down and application view down into your network view. As an example, services like SAP, Salesforce, Skype for Business are important. That's what runs the business. I may want to have a look at, instead of the network view, how those services, my business critical services, how are they performing across the network? And Highlight allows you to see that. I can get a service tile, which has an indicator of what the application is, as well as its stability and health. I get the RAG indicators, so I can quickly and efficiently understand if there's a problem or not. And if there is a problem with a service, I can drill down to understand at what location is that problem happening. Is it globally, or is it just at a single location? Is it within a particular element, a router, a class of service as an example? And then drill down further into the detail if I require it, looking at traffic analysis patterns, as well as usage patterns, and bringing up IP addresses and host names if and when required. Highlight also allows you to do capacity planning. By looking at application usage versus bandwidth utilization, I can make informed decisions about, do I need to upgrade, or potentially do I need to stay where I am and be smarter with my current network resources. Highlight manage LAN monitoring. Understanding how my WAN is performing, my routers, my devices are important. But also, my infrastructure doesn't just stop at my WAN, it goes into my LAN through my switches, my access points, etc. I may want to understand the performance of these. If I have a problem that's not WAN facing, I may still want to understand what's happening on the LAN side. And Highlight allows you to manage your switches, wireless access points and infrastructure from this point of view. If it's a switch, I can get a graphical representation of how that switch is performing. I can get all the detail of what's connected to that switch. I can even monitor individually critical ports like servers for Citrix as an example. If I want, I can get audit information simply and concisely about what's connected, when it was connected, how quickly it's connected for, if something has been used or unused, and how long it's been unused for, so then I can make informed business decisions about capacity planning. Highlight also allows you to extend into your wireless access controllers and access points, allowing you to understand how they're performing, but more crucially, how your users are performing. Do I have enough wireless infrastructure? Do I have too much? What is the performance of people connecting? If they have a problem, can I drill down quickly and efficiently to understand who are they, what access points are they connected to, what SSID are they connected to, what's the signal strength they're getting? Actually, is it better if they're wired in than going wireless? I can find this information out very quickly and efficiently. So now I'm going to take you into a live demo. Please be aware that this is a live demo with live data, and for better viewing, I would suggest going into full screen. So welcome to Highlight Demo. Highlight has three components to it. On the left-hand side, I have a tree structure that shows me myself as a customer, as well as my sites, and it can be grouped into folders for geographical purposes or business unit purposes. On the right-hand side, I have two bits of information under heat tiles and service tiles. Service tiles at the top are a part of the gold package, and they allow me to manage and monitor my application infrastructure and my services. At the bottom, I have locations, which are part of the bronze and silver package. As you can see, I have heat tiles for every single site, and I get a site view of my network. As I said before, if we look at our head office here and the internet router, I have three bits of information: stability, load, and health. I can see that the load is green, but I have a stability and a health issue. I can also see how long these issues have been happening for. So instead of systems flagging up and down constantly, you can understand whether I've had an issue. Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? how long has it been there for. If I click on the head office, I then can look into that and see what's connected. Within my head office, I have 2 lines and multiple virtual circuits. I have an external link in this example and an internal link. It also gives me a full breakdown of the class of service associated with that line and any other performance test that may be running. I can see, as a long-term strip graph, stability, load, and health. And Highlight uses simple color mechanisms for me to understand what's happening. Cool colors means there's data happening, but it's not affecting anything. There's no problem. Hot colors, like orange and red, show I have usage across my network or my element, and actually there's a problem. There's a warning, effectively. Let me click into one of these. So now within a third click, I've gone into the detail page. What I see here at the top, I have information about the time period that I want to select. Today, the week, month, or a selected time interval. If I click on technical at the top, I get a pop-up that gives me all the information about that device, what it is, what's connected, including things like the firmware information, serial numbers, uptime, etc. If I look below this now, I see traffic load. I see in and out, so upload and download effectively. I can look at this over the period of time, or I could zoom in if I wish to get granular detail. This information can also be exported, like all information within the system. And this particular chart can be exported as a CSV file if you require the data to manipulate. If I look down one further, I get a traffic trend. Traffic trend allows me to look at my usage pattern over a 6-month period and gives me 95th percentile load and average load. And this is incredibly useful for capacity planning. If I have high utilization at a line for today or for the week or for the month, I may want to understand, has that been happening over a longer period of time? Do I have a capacity problem at that site on that circuit? And very quickly you can identify that and correlate it. I can see this both in business hours and 24 hours as well. So seeing information about when my business is running and is it affecting services within business hours. If I scroll down one bit more, I see line health. And line health gives me the quality of the circuit. I get the CPU utilization of the device. I get discards, line errors, availability. I also, for some devices, may get queue delays and further information to really break down and give me the detail I require when there is a problem and it's a problem with the quality of the line. I can understand what it is and how long it's been happening for. If I scroll down further, I get performance analysis, so tests that are running from that site, and they might be application tests, whereas part of the bronze and silver package, you will also get a performance test later on, which is coming soon, which will allow you to understand things like delay, jitter, loss across your network. What is the packet quality and response time of packet traversing my network? And this is very important for auditing and measuring your application performance. If I scroll down further, part of the silver package, I get flow analysis. And flow analysis correlates to utilization that was further up. With this, I now get a breakdown of what that utilization was made up of. Now, if I click on applications, I get an application view of the usage. So, as an example, I can see lots of green. And if I click on that, it's 89.8%, and that's all HTTPS traffic. I click on hosts, and I get a hosted view of this. So what are the IP addresses, and if they're external, the system will try and resolve as much as it can, so I can understand what they are. So an example, that HTTPS traffic correlates to Salesforce as an example in this case. I may then want to understand who's using it, if it's business critical or not. If I click on text, I can see Salesforce, it's using 4.6 gig and 34.15% of the traffic. If I click on the Conversations tab, I get a nice little pop-up that says, okay, what's the external IP address? What's the host name being resolved as? What is the total volume? Then a breakdown of all of the internal IPs that are connecting to that service and the volume they're using. Example, 100.54 is using 13.12% of that traffic. If this was a business application, I can understand usage patterns over time and make informed business decisions about what I do capacity. If it's something like Salesforce and it's subscribed users, I may say, well, actually next month we're hiring a few more people, and I may want to understand, can that network support the capacity of additional users for Salesforce? If it's a non-business critical application, like video streaming, like Netflix as I gave, or Facebook and social media, I may want to understand how much of that's being used, and actually, is it affecting the performance of my business critical applications? Is it oversubscribing my lines? And from that, you have the information simply and effectively at your fingertips to help you understand and make informed business decisions on spend on your network. Let me now go into the application view. As part of Gold, you get service views, as I showed you on the tiles before. As part of Silver and Gold, you also get this app view. And this gives me top-down from an application point of view of what my services are running across my network. So instead of looking at it from a network and site perspective, I may just want to see what are the top applications running across my network. In this case, I have Salesforce. It's been categorized as a business and productivity tool. I have things like YouTube, BBC, Google, so people not using the network as they should be. But then I also have Skype and Outlook. I can quickly understand when was it seen, when was it used, what is the usage, and how many locations is it being used at. I can then drill down onto those to get the effective detail information if I wish, and then effectively the end user information for root cause analysis purposes. Let me now take you into the LAN environment. First of all, a switch. Here I say I've got a switch running. If I click on this, I get a visual representation of all the ports and how they're performing. At the moment, they're all green regarding stability, load and health, and this is a live view. I can see whether the ports are active or not by the coloring system. So the grey ones aren't active ports, the green ones or the colored ones are active. I have a list of critical ports underneath that, so I can understand what's connected for the important services. If I click on technical, I get a nice little pop-up that gives me information about that device again. But scrolling further down, I get a report in real time that gives me, regarding that switch, what slots connected, how many ports, what are idle and what are unused. I get what's connected to what interface, what the speed of that connection is, and what the state is. How long has that been used for? And for audit purposes, some organizations use this to say, well, actually, I may want to capacity plan my switch environment. And instead of increasing my cost and buying new switches, let me understand if there's any free ports I can use and reuse. And here I can quickly say, actually, if a port hasn't been used for 100 plus days, I may want to reallocate that, saving me time and money later on. Now let me go into Wi-Fi. Regarding Wi-Fi, I can look at different types of Wi-Fi devices, and it will also give me the access points, not only the controller, but the access points underneath it. If I click on a controller as an example, I can see information about that controller and the performance, but more importantly, click on View Now, I can get all of the access points. So here, I have two access points, two AreaNet access points in this case. I can sort this by clients connected or by utilization. I can see when that was last captured and how many clients in total. I can select or unselect. I can then see who's connected, and it will try to resolve the names if possible, the signal strength they're connected to, what access point, what the SSID they're using, the MAC address and the IP address, and then the usage. So if someone's having a problem in my office with connectivity, I can quickly say, actually, what access point are you connected to? Is it causing a problem? And from this, I can capacity plan to understand, do I need more access points, or actually have I got too many? and I can maybe be able to reuse those somewhere else. I can also download all this information as I require as a CSV file. Finally, Highlight has very simple and effective reporting and alerting. Alerting allows me to alert on multiple elements throughout my infrastructure via email, which is simple and effective. Reporting gives me pre-canned templates of reports that are easy to access. I can make my own reports if I wish, but most reports that are used on a daily basis are already in the system. I have reports as an example of upgrades or overutilized lines. I have availability reports, so availability issues and outages, health and congestion problems, varies by circuit, by volume, by availability, and then more detailed reports on things like class of service and performance testing. To run a report, it's simple. I click on a report, and as an example, I click on volume. I hit load. I decide what I'd like that sorted by. I can then decide how many results I'd like to see in that report. I can see what columns or what elements I'd like to show. I can select or unselect. Would I like this as a graphical report and select graphics, or would I like it as a data report? I can then filter by exception or by text if I wish, and crucially run things in reports as business hours or out of business hours. I simply then hit the play button, and very quickly and efficiently a report is produced, and the idea behind Highlight is to produce the information you need simply, effectively, and quickly. I can then create my own reports if I wish, create them as additional templates, also have reports scheduled to myself and emailed to me as and when I need. So I don't necessarily have to log into the system. I can have those reports delivered to my email every Monday morning as I require. Highlight was created as a service which allows you to not have to worry about the configuration of the system, but allow you to get the data you need as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, so you can make business-informed decisions with that data to help you run your business. Thank you. I'm now going to hand it over back to Phil.
Thanks, Amar. I hope you all found a useful overview and a demo of what's coming. Actually, this is particularly relevant to me as I myself am a customer of this service. So the main difference is that as a service provider, my infrastructure is also your infrastructure, and my end users are actually our customers. In our first release of Highlight, we've concentrated on networking devices, so routers, switches, firewalls, wireless access points, etc. However, there is much more capability to come. This summer, we'll be launching Skype for Business application analytics and also the monitoring and reporting of the underlying VMs and physical servers, all in a single pane of glass as, if you will, an enrichment of what you're already getting with the networking elements. That's all from me, so thanks very much for listening, and I believe we have some questions.
We certainly do, Phil. So yeah, thanks a lot for that, Phil and Amar. And without further ado, we'll crack on with the questions that you've all posted. So thanks a lot for those that have already. Please, we'll try and get through as many as we can in the next 15 minutes. So the first question from Phil Hambley. Thanks for your question, Phil. Can you explain a little more about the role that Highlight plays in the digital transformation journey?
Yeah, so I think the key point here, which I mentioned at the top, is around visibility. So you have to have visibility of your underlying infrastructure to have a good understanding of how your applications will work when they're running across it, and to have something that stitches those two things together. So it's from a live application perspective, can I see what the user experience is? Yes, I can. And can I see what might be impacting it in the infrastructure? Yes, I can. So certain underlying characteristics within the infrastructure, we know that if they degrade below a certain point, they'll have a certain impact on the applications. Similarly, you've also got that, let's call it capacity management or predictive element to this as well, which is knowing what drain on your infrastructure a given application might be. You actually have the ability to predict how well it will perform across your infrastructure by looking at how your infrastructure is performing today. So it might well be, for example, that you create a proof of concept for Skype for Business and you monitor the impact that it has within your proof of concept on the infrastructure there before you roll it out to your entire business. you'd be able to see that within Highlight.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Phil. That was great. Right, so the next question from Tony Singh. So what overhead does the Flow introduce on routers? Which routers are recommended to be used in conjunction with Highlight? So thanks for that, Tony.
So I'll pick up part of that. Obviously, there is an overhead with running Flow. There is on any device, but most devices, modern devices, cope with it incredibly well. It also depends, obviously, how you set Flow up. So you can do things like top talkers, or you could do absolute, carte blanche everything. But certainly, from a CPE perspective, I would expect that most modern devices, it would be a relatively trivial uplift in the overheads to the device. I will ask Amar, who's obviously the technical person here, to chip in and see whether or not that's something he'd agree with.
Thank you, Phil. Yes, I agree with that. And also, depending on the device, the overload and network changes slightly. But the idea behind Highlight is not to give you all the information that Flow can produce, because actually there's quite a lot of noise. What we're trying to do here is extract the data that's simple and effective. So it's actually the top 20 applications, talkers, and so forth. Take away the noise of all that data. Okay, so you're not sitting there trying to analyze everything that's possible. You just have the data you need. So we cut out a lot of that information that isn't required to provide that to you in that simple portal. So overheads are minimal. Highlight will also show using Flow itself, and it will monitor its own application usage across that. So that can be seen by yourselves as well. Highlight effectively also has a CPU monitoring capability per device, which can also be looked at and reported on.
Okay, thanks for that, Amar. Now, a number of you asked a series of questions, so I'm going to do my best to cover off a number of you, and then if we have time at the end, we'll return to the ones that have asked a number of questions. So the next question is from Robin Kelly. So thank you, Robin. There's obviously a lot of reporting capability here. How much of it would you advise sharing with a non-techie C-suite?
Well, as a member of the C-suite, it's perhaps worthwhile me saying what I would be interested in seeing. So one of the beauties of Highlight actually is that you've got that ability to see a really, really top level view where it's simply, is it healthy or not? Is it at capacity? Am I under too much load, etc.? So at that top level, I'm really interested in that. And then I'd expect that somebody perhaps more technical than me, deeper into my organization, would be the one that would be analyzing the widgets and digits that have caused that move away from green and making recommendations based on the business intelligence the tool brings. So certainly the top level view is absolutely interesting because it may well provoke some kind of discussions around investment in infrastructure. So absolutely it's important, but you wouldn't want the very, very granular low level detail unless you were a particularly technical C-suite member.
Okay, thanks, Phil. The next one from Daniel Bisson. Apologies, hopefully I've got the pronunciation of your surname right there, Daniel. So Daniel's question is, are we able to monitor particular ports ourselves?
Amar, that's one for you, I think.
So on a router device, as an example, because it's a managed service, we monitor the physical ports, which are the WAN and LAN, and then virtual interfaces on that, as well as class of service. When it comes to LAN devices, like switches, you can actually monitor every single port and then select the ones you're more interested in for detailed reporting and analytics.
Okay, thank you for that. And the next question from Raimondas Mazika. Is it possible to view running configuration files of the monitored modes in Highlight? In what pack is the reporting available?
Sorry, could you rephrase that question, please?
Is it possible to view running configuration files of the monitored nodes in Highlight?
So I think there's many questions there actually, David. So let's pick the first one, which was around can you view running configuration files. I think it's important to say this isn't a configuration management tool. This is an analytics monitoring and reporting tool. So that isn't part of the capability that the tool has. If that is something that, and I've heard this from a number of customers now, if that is something that people would find of interest, I'm happy to take that away and look at whether or not we can produce that in a different way.
One thing to note here, Highlight will, though, give you, as an example, the technical information about what that device is. For example, as I showed you, depending on the device, it will give you things like what software firmware is running, what the serial number is, what the uptime and things like that. So it won't necessarily give you the running config, but it does still give you the technical information you need for audit purposes.
Okay, thank you for that. Next question from Jitan. Thanks for your question, Jitan. Do the devices have to be managed by GCI to be able to be viewed and configured with Highlight, or can they be customer provided? Question mark.
So that's more of a commercial question than a technical question, I think. Technically, yes. Commercially, that's something that you need to discuss with an account manager.
Okay, thanks for that. And a question from Dave Gillies. Can Highlight back up the node configs?
Again, that's back to the same kind of comment around the router configuration files. It's not a configuration management tool. It's an analytics, monitoring and reporting tool. So that kind of functionality we actually achieve in a different way. So we do back up our configurations using a different tool.
Okay, thank you for that. And another question here from Daniel. We make the most of the ability for the current SolarWinds alerting us when a particular network port is down. Does this do the same thing?
Simply, yes, you get that, and much, much more.
Okay, and another question from Andrew Fletcher. After using SolarWinds for years, why move to Highlight?
So there's a number of answers to that actually, and part of it's to do with our digital transformation journey. So SolarWinds is a perfectly good tool. I actually am a former network engineer and know it intimately. It's less prevalent with service providers than it is within the enterprise world, which in itself isn't a massive problem because it does do what it needs to do. But it's also very, very heavily aimed at techies. And what we are trying to do here is to create a tool which is equally accessible to non-technical people, and that is something that is a major, major advantage in the way that that Highlight works. The other piece is to do with the model that we take with Highlight. So Highlight actually it's a SaaS solution. So I've got less infrastructure that I need to concern myself about managing and maintaining because I have a service provider that's doing that for me. So actually that talks very much to, you know, why would this be relevant and interesting to you, our customers? It's about the fact that the tool itself is almost unimportant. It's what the information that you get from the tool. So the service that you take and the business intelligence that you gain from the tool, that's what's important. The tool itself isn't. Who knows? Next year maybe we'll swap Highlight for something else.
Okay, thank you for that, Phil. And another question here from Ramondas. Will SolarWinds remain in place or will the platform be decommissioned after some time?
So we're not turning it off. There are reasons for us to continue to keep that for a while. Certainly the main one being that you don't ever go directly from one to another and throw the old one in the bin. So we'll have a period of time of some dual running. But ultimately, yes, it will be decommissioned.
Okay, thank you. And a couple of questions were posted actually when people registered. So I'm just going to cover off one or two of those. One of the questions was, I'm not clear whether we have access to the gold, silver or bronze service. How do we find out? That was from Paul Humphreys. Hopefully, Paul, you're on the call.
So the default proposition is obviously the bronze proposition. Those customers that currently take flow from us would have the silver proposition, and gold is not something that is being rolled out to our existing base. It's something that would be a discussion with an account manager about actually buying that. So it's an add-on service.
Okay, and I guess that relates to a question that also came in from Una McGuinness, which is this a free service or will we face an extra charge?
So what I can say is this, that for our existing customers, for their existing contract term, they will enjoy, without an uplift in costs, either the bronze or the silver, depending on whether or not they take flow. But there would be a discussion at the end of the contract term around commercials.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, Daniel also asked, I guess, a related question. Who would be the person within GCI to discuss when we will be moved to Highlight? So I guess, is the answer to talk to your account manager there, Phil?
I can probably do better than that. So
okay.
It's actually in and it's working and it's collecting data. We're going through doing a wee bit of a mop-up to make sure that we've got all of the devices in there, and then the grouping that needs to be done. So basically each customer will have their own grouping, and that needs to be tailored slightly. So we should be ready by the end of April to be able to actually present that to all customers.
Okay, and I guess a question just coming from Jeeton is Highlight available to deployed or managed devices today? So I guess the answer to that's the end of April, is it?
Sorry, just repeat that one again for me.
It's highlight available to be deployed on managed devices today.
Yes, it is. As I said earlier, though, that all customers, it wouldn't be completed until then. So we are in a position whereby we've already worked our way through some of the customers mop-up and grouping. We've just got to finish that off. So if it was an existing customer who wanted to know specifically when they would be available, it may well be a discussion with your account manager to find out when, but ultimately everybody will be done by the end of end of April rather.
Okay, thank you. And another question here from Ramondas: can restricted access to the end users be given to show only their relevant nodes?
Amal, that's perhaps one for you to explain.
Thank you, Phil. Yes, so user logons can be restricted by nodes, by geographical regions, by folder types, by site. So yes, that can be done.
And another one here was, I'm sorry, I think we might have covered that one off. Yeah, another one that came in early was around training, and obviously, it was good that somebody could join the webinar, but would there be other forms of training and education available as part of the process?
Yeah, absolutely. So this wasn't intended as a training session by any stretch. This is a taster. Now there'll be a number of quick start guides, e-learning videos, and also the potential for some one-to-one training as well. So if you want further training and you don't get what you need from the quick starts or from the video training, then speak to your account manager and we'll see what we can arrange.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. And another one here from Phil Hambley. So I read something a while back from Gartner, I think, regarding the evolution of reporting from reactive to proactive to predictive. The paper suggested that the real business improvement value was in proactive and predictive reporting. So how does Highlight fit with that thinking?
So I think one of the important things to point out here is that you're measuring things in a RAG status. So you wouldn't necessarily start to see a problem as an end user while something was amber, but we can see it. And given that we're exposing this monitoring and reporting capability to our customers, you can see it too. Yeah, so you will see that the underlying infrastructure has reached a point whereby something may be wrong that might shortly be causing a problem to your end users. So the application users are still over there happy, they're using it, everything feels fine. We can go and see something and fix it before it becomes a problem. So that's the predictive part of it. You're actually responding to something before it explodes, rather than Gypsy with a crystal ball working out when something might go bang in the future. You're seeing a move away from green and capturing it before it goes red.
Okay, and I guess a related question to that, in terms of a follow-up question from Sean Keddy. So does this help the service desk respond quicker to issues? Well, yes. Obviously, any report, so any monitoring tool that gives you an earlier view of when things are about to go bang, rather than relying on them going bang, is better, because you obviously got the ability to spot things and step in. Let's call it jeopardy management rather than incident management at that point.
Just to add to that, Phil, the idea behind Highlight, and especially for support and help desk services, is that it doesn't just flash very quickly, as in reactively, to green, to red, to amber. The idea is it's important to understand that a problem's first, it's occurring before users notice it. So it's starting to go from the green to the amber to the red, where it's actually now user affecting. But also, on the way back, it's important to understand that if I've had a problem, is that problem getting better or worse? And what Highlight will allow you to do, especially from a support desk, help them understand that there was a problem, let's say for the last 7 hours, but it's getting better. We're not reacting to it, but we understand it's getting better, and the system is continuously doing checks to see if that's getting better and better before it turns green. So very quickly, support desks and help desks can understand, first of all, is there a problem? Is it getting worse? Is it a stable problem, or is it getting better? So they can give informed decisions to their users as well.
Thanks for that. So we're just coming up to 10:44. So just one last question will sneak in from Ramondas. Can a wires-only service be monitored in Highlight if relevant configuration is added onto the to-be-monitored node?
So I think I can kind of short-circuit this with a very simple explanation, which is if it's IP and SNMP enabled and it's reachable, technically it's possible. Anything beyond that is more of a thing of, commercially discuss whether or not that's something that that fits both parties. But technically, yes, as long as it's IP reachable, the configuration on it is appropriate, and it's got SNMP community strings on it, then yes, it could be done.
Okay, that's great. So thank you very much for that, Phil. So I think we're bang on the money and just coming up to 10:45. So as promised, we'll close promptly to enable you all to get on with your busy days. So thank you, Phil and Amar, for your presentations and insight. And thank you to you, all our guests, for your interaction and questions. There have been loads of questions. We really appreciate those. So we hope you found the session useful and thought-provoking. We really appreciate your contributions, and we'll ensure that we follow up on all the specific points that have been asked, and ensure we also respond to the few questions that we didn't manage to get to during the course of this session. So thank you very much for that. We've recorded this session. In the next few days, we'll also send you a link to the recording for you to share with your colleagues or to give an opportunity to listen again. We appreciate there's been quite a content-rich session that you probably want to reflect on. And obviously, if you have any burning issues that you'd like to discuss more urgently, then do get in touch, and one of the team will be standing by to help. So thank you. We do also truly believe that feedback's a gift, and would really appreciate it if you can take a few moments to fill in the short questionnaire we'll send you on how you found this session and any thoughts you may have on what we could do better or differently next time. So at that point, I do hope that you join us for our next webinar on Thursday, the 23rd of March, when we'll be looking at the latest innovation for Microsoft around Skype for Business and Cloud, PBX. One not to be missed, hopefully. But for now, thank you and have a good day.